Islam, the Light of Islam Association, and many others. Information from other sources gives the methods used in 4 steps. 1. Grouping 9 minor girls between 12 and 17 years old in one apartment where they are drugged, brainwashed, and probably raped. 2. Keep them up to the majority age of 18, where they are brought to Al-Azhar Mosque to convert to Islam. They immediately obtain the ID mentioning the religion as Muslim instead of Christian, and the name is changed using a Muslim name. Note that the opposite way is impossible. 3. Bring young boys or men or old men and force them to marry one of them. 4. Keep the girl away from her family. Maintain the doubt on the Christian doctrine. God cannot marry and has no son. Inculcate terror and fear that she is a shame to her family, who will kill her if she returns. And anyway, since she has become a Muslim, she can't go back to Christianity, or she be killed according to Sharia law. 4 steps, methods, horrors. Now, what statistics? How many girls? There are hundreds. I just mentioned what have been monitored and recorded. The Egyptian Union for Human Rights Organization monitored 800 cases since 2009. Egypt for Christ monitored 45 cases under 18 years since January Revolution. They have 275 cases known between 2005 and 2010 under 18, 275 cases known under 18, and 400 cases over 18. Now, is this just a work of some small radical people? No. This is a part of a huge plan. Probably. And it's not a false alarm. It's a preparation to a Coptic genocide. Within the Islamic nation, Egypt is the only Muslim country to have an important number of Christians, with around, at least, as Patriarch Shenouda said, at least around 12 million Copts. We will not talk about the number of converted Muslims, and they are just hidden. Some people talk about 1 to 2 million. So these Copts still maintain some of the pharaonic civilizations through their everyday customs, through their Coptic language, the Coptic language which is the last version of the pharaonic hieroglyphics. The Copts represent an obstacle to the radical Islamists, who are dreaming to establish the great worldwide Islamic Caliphate nation. Strategic plans are set to get rid of them slowly but firmly by different means. Disappearance of minor Coptic girls and women is just one of their horrible means. In Iraq already, out of more than 1 million Christians a few years ago, only 300,000 to 400,000 are left. Will this happen to Egypt? After Alexandria church bombing at the 2011 New Year's Eve, following the Baghdad church bombing, French President Nicolas Sarkozy gave a speech on the 7th of January. He denounced a religious extermination plan to get rid of the Middle East Christians. He mentioned that France will not tolerate such a plan. On March 5th, after the revolution, Mr. Patrick Devedjian, Member of Parliament, former minister, was invited as a guest speaker to one of our conferences on Egypt's revolution. a son of Armenian parents who ran away from the Turkish genocide. He recalled the context of the euphoric Turkish revolution in 1908, seeking freedom, democracy. He said was euphoric as it is in the Egypt today. They were claiming secular country away from the religious Ottoman power. Only 7 years later, 1915, around 1.2 million Armenians, the two-thirds of them, were exterminated. And he wished to ask the Copts that because of today's media, because of today's fast communication, this will prevent such a scenario to the Copts of Egypt. What is the international community role? A US or International Human Rights Investigation Commission is absolutely necessary to examine the events freely. I know that in the European Parliament, the idea is going through, and maybe if the Commission here takes the same decision, maybe a coordinated work could be set with the European Parliament. To pressure the Military Council to take actions, as was mentioned before, with a precise time plan, and you should expect the answer is just that these are only individual love stories where a Coptic girl wants to follow her Muslim lover. And then pressure Saudi Arabia and the Gulf countries to stop financing these terrorist acts. As a conclusion, I have a message and a request. The message: the Muslim Brotherhoods will never change or leave their objective of restoring the Islamic Caliphate. Their foundation is Allah is our target, the Prophet is our model, the Quran is our law, the Holy War is our way, the martyrdom is our wish. These are the fundamentals and the basics of the Muslim Brotherhoods. They will not change them. They will not leave their objective of restoring the Islamic Caliphate. They are only changing tactics. They are adapting their language to democracy and to the Western ears. The early parliamentary election that were planned in September, now because of the young revolutionaries' pressure on the council, on the military council, have been reported to November. If they are held either in September or in November, they will bring the Muslim Brotherhoods to power. Why? Because for the last 30 years, Mubarak regime and his surroundings were just interested in staying in their chair, in their power, and they left the society in the hands of these people. So the Egyptian society is invested by a culture of hate. And as an example, one child, 8 years old, said to his Christian friend, "Yesterday was my birthday. I invited all my friends except you because you are Christian." These are the education of the professors for the 8 years old. In my time when I had this age, we had no such things. And all my friends are Muslims. When I go to Egypt, I don't even have now Christian friends, but my faculty are Muslim friends, and they are very good ones. And we never lived such a hate situation. So an early parliamentary election will not represent the real democratic demands. I can say early election is just undemocratic, and they will be very similar to what happened in Gaza. They were 100% democratic. They were controlled by international commission, and they brought Hamas. So democracy brings, when the country is not ready, she brings what is left. So what is in Egypt now is the Muslim Brotherhood. What is required is a constitutional framework that must be prepared first. So we urge the Commission, we urge the US Congress to take that into consideration. Now, this is a message. I have now a request to President Obama. The US Middle East policy should encourage the Muslim liberals. They are also Muslims. They should not favor handing over Egypt to the Muslim Brotherhoods. There is a huge difference between Muslims, Muslim Brotherhoods who are behind Al-Qaeda, who are behind the 9/11. Number 2 of Al-Qaeda, Al-Zawahiri, is a medical doctor who was involved in Sadat assassination. He was the mastermind of the 9/11. Bin Laden had only the financing. The leader of the 9/11, of the 20 people, Muhammad Atta, a PhD engineer from Germany, he was the leader of the 20 people in the different planes. He was Egyptian engineer. These people are coming from Muslim Brotherhoods. Consequences of getting Muslim Brotherhoods on the power of Egypt will be huge, and they are not in the interest of the American people. The second request was also mentioned before. A US financing aid to Egypt must be conditioned by a real democratic process according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and not according to the Sharia Islamic law, as Muslim Brotherhoods are claiming. Actions are needed now before it's too late. Thank you.
Mr. Maher, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thanks to Ms. Doss and Ms. Clark as well. It's very, very moving to hear your testimony. For those of us joining us on C-SPAN, I'll say that Chairman Smith and the other commissioners have left to vote because this hearing is so important, and we have C-SPAN here live. We're going to continue the proceedings. The chairman, and by the way, my name is Mark Malash. I'm the Chief of Staff of the Helsinki Commission. I'm here right now with Shelley Hahn, who is on Commission staff, and Alison Hollabaugh, who is on Mr. Smith's personal office staff, an expert on trafficking issues. So we'll proceed with some questions that the chairman has left us.